Take a story from history, perhaps a story of medieval knights and battlefields, and consider what makes you engage with it. Why might this story attract you, move you, disgust you? Why do historical facts, when rendered into a narrative arc like this, have a different kind of impact on us? And what about stories told by engineers, politicians, policymakers? The anatomy of narrative persists, however it is used, and its impact on humans is profound. Let's pull stories apart and see what they're made of. This is ASU. Narratologist H. Porter Abbott defines narrative as the representation of an event or series of events. Other people define narrative differently, but this is a handy definition for our purposes. Notice that this is a very humble definition. It's tiny, it's granular, almost atomic. Like defining water as H2O. Water can take a lot of forms. It can be a bottle of water, a cool summer rain, a puddle, a river, an ice cube in your drink. It can be the fog on a gloomy morning, the tears you cry when you're sad. It can be both the ocean that a boat sails in and the iceberg that sinks it. Narrative is like that too. It can take on seemingly countless forms and structures. But like all of our examples of water are H2O, all of our forms of narrative are representations of events. If we want to understand water, we might look at its component parts, 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. If we're a mechanic and we want to understand an engine, we would want to know what all its parts are. So to understand narrative, we want to identify the component parts. Its anatomy. What is narrative made of? Narratologist Seymour Chapman devised a useful anatomy of narrative. Narrative has 2 parts, story and narrative discourse. Story is a chronological series of events involving existence. Narrative discourse is the means by which that story is represented. The story is the content, narrative discourse is the content as expressed or as represented. Like water and narrative, story is composed of 2 elements, events and existents. Events are the things that happen, that create a change in the world of the story. Existents are the objects that exist in the world of the story. So story is composed of verbs and nouns. Events are the verbs, and existents are the nouns. There are 2 kinds of events, actions and happenings. Actions are events caused by characters, like Romeo kissing Juliet or Bugs Bunny kissing Elmer Fudd. Happenings are events that are not caused by an agent, like a rainstorm or an anvil falling on Wile E. Coyote. There are 2 kinds of existence, characters and setting. Characters are existents that exhibit agency and perform actions. Characters are nouns that do things in the world of the story. Katniss, Cinderella, and T'Challa from Black Panther. These are all examples of characters. Setting is all the other objects in the world. Items of setting don't possess agency. They don't do things in the world. So Katniss's bow, Cinderella's slipper, T'Challa's mask are all examples of setting. So there we have story. Now let's go back to look at narrative discourse. Narrative discourse has, of course, you guessed it, 2 component parts. media and the structure of narrative transmission. Media is the material substance through which the story is communicated. Examples of media include written or spoken language, film, dance, theater, painting, comics, video games, etc., etc. The structure of narrative transmission is simply the narrative discourse minus the media. In film, this can include the ordering of events, the actors, the lighting, the dialogue, the editing, etc. In a novel, this includes, among other things, again, the ordering of events and the specific language used by the author. In a comic book, this includes the words, the images, the colors, and the way the panels are arranged on the page. So there you have it. That is Seymour Chapman's Anatomy of Narrative. It's like the atomic structure of narrative. Water is H2O, narrative is, well, this. So narrative structure can apply universally when you tell a story. It doesn't really matter whether we're using it to weave a battlefield legend from historical facts or telling the story of water molecules. It comes to the same thing. The narrative arc is constructed of parts that are identifiable and understandable. When we bring them together, we can form something powerful, memorable, and less abstracted. Being aware of how narratives are formulated can help you analyze them, understand them. When we appreciate we are surrounded by the narrative form, it quickly becomes clear that these skills are very important. This was ASU. Thanks for watching.